Bar Chord Workshop. Here we go. Let me go plug in our link over on the website. The website is jollyrogerukulele.com. And I close that window out over here. Edit the page. Link to join. Space. Paste. Shift. Link. Shift. Enter. Edit. Settings. Open a new window. Open and update. All right, so there we go. And I probably ought to download that into this book, huh? All right, let me make sure it's working correctly, and then everybody come get set down. You'll need to print out whatever ukulele you want to use, but I'm going to teach it on ukulele, of course. And so if you have a ukulele, that's great. Baritone players, you'll just be out of tune while we do this. Let's see, is that opening up correctly? Legendary Bar Chord Workshop. Okay, so that's opening up correctly. https://jollyrogerukulele.com. Okay, and let's grab our cover sheet. Tweet. All right, 2 skeletons in a row. All right. Hi everybody. Let's grab this thing up. I'm going to be talking from a ukulele perspective, but the exact same stuff applies from baritone. It's just instead of starting from one chord, you'll start from a different chord, and all that. Now, why do we care about bar chords? Because they sound terrible, right? And they're stupid, and there's entire internet discussions on old forums about how can I avoid using the bar chord. What I don't want to make a B flat anymore. I don't want to make an E chord. How do I avoid that? And the short answer, the answer that should be on those discussions is you can't. But instead, what it is on there is a bunch of malarkey. Okay, so I'm here to absolve you of any notion that you're not going to have to play bar chords. You are going to have to. It is part of our job, both as even as vocalists. You're going to be in weird keys sometimes, and you're going to need to do bar chords. And so yeah, so let's get going on that. Let's see who made it in this morning or this afternoon, or this evening, wherever you are. Bruce made it in for Virginia. Good to see you, Bruce. Cindy's in. Cindy's favorite thing is music theory. Janice here she's a local. I have to learn more about doing some. Yeah, bar chords. Yeah, and you gotta spell it right too, right? Barre makes you sound fancy. Will you be saying a bit about MuseScore tomorrow, Sandy? Assuming we get through today's stuff, we're going to start on MuseScore tomorrow. Yeah, and I think that's going to be a 2 or 3 dayer. I've never taught it before, so we'll find out. Michelle in from Rockaway Beach. Janice in from down south. Needs to get to the bar. Good day. And 92 up here in the Is 92 up in Michigan, you guys. It's 92 in Denver. Something's backwards. Kat's in. Hey, Kat. Good to see you. Lynn is back. Lynn booed me, you guys, in the email I sent out earlier. And just as a reminder, all of you should have gotten an email from me. And if you didn't, it's in your spam box, and if it's not there, then you didn't sign up to get emails, and that's crazy. Red's in. Maybe I need to my bridge lowered. yeah, that's always the answer. I get ukuleles in where the bridge has been lowered to the point where it's buzzing, all because of the B flat, right? Let's see. I think this is a shotgun sound. As for Red, she's in. That's terrible. I'm going to put a don't play this one on there. I went to, yesterday we went down to the Royal Gorge, which I hadn't been to since I was 7. And you walk across the bridge and it's scary because you're way up high. And that's it. That's the purpose of that. But we went to lunch at a place in Canyon City. And those of you guys who don't know Colorado, Denver is sort of in charge of the politics for the rest of the state, which makes everybody in the rest of the state super mad. But when you go out into the rural areas, it's a different group of people than you run into here in the city. And the restaurant we went to, people were carrying sidearms, like a tyranny might happen at any moment, and they were ready for it. So yeah, so we're sitting in a restaurant, and these people are walking in and out with their sidearms on, and I'm like, okay, gonna get along with everybody in here. All right, Nancy, good to see you. Amy, hey, Amy Kim got her strings changed the other day, you guys. Those of you in Denver probably ought to be thinking about either getting your strings changed on your own, or which is crazy, or bringing it down to me and letting me do it, which is the smart thing to do. Plus, we get to hang out and chat. Amy is a better person because she came down and chatted with me, right, Amy? Rita's in from Chicago, ready for the legendary. I know. I don't know when we started calling it legendary. Vicky's in. She's swimming through smoke up there. Fran is in from SoCal. Linda in from Laguna. Elizabeth in from northern Colorado. Elizabeth knows about being out in the wilds of Colorado. Carol, warm day in Nathrop. I was pretty close to your house, Carol. Made it all the way to Fairplay and Canyon City. Fran, it's actually rained here last night and this morning. Yay, real rain. Heck yeah, we need that. Hey, Robin, good to see you. Let's see, 82, but doesn't feel that warm. But so it's a perfect day in Vancouver. Shut up, Linda. Whatever. I know, right, Linda? Right, Jan? Oh my God, I'm not an anti-gun person, but I also don't see a reason to carry a sidearm into a restaurant. So there's that. I also think you ought to be required to take a class, for crying out loud. All right, let's see. Legendary bar chord worksheet. I want you to take a look at the piano keyboard. This is the only time in all of the classes we talk about this, and I want to make sure that you are comfy with it. The key, you look at that piano keyboard. I put little blue keys on there so you could actually write in there. You should be able to write the names of all of the keys on that little thing from the bottom to the top without thinking about it. If you cannot, that's something we need to have you work on, because every single thing else that we work on in music is all relative, but the names of the notes on the piano, you really do have to memorize them. So let's talk about them very quickly. On the piano, there's groups of, the black notes are grouped into a little group of 2 and a little group of 3, right? And you see that repeated. So 2, then 3, then 2, then 3, then 2, and it keeps going on all the way up. The key to the left of the 2 group is the C note. Okay, it could have been they could have called it anything, but somehow it ended up being C because the pioneers in early standardization of music were psychos, and so now C is our most important note. It makes no sense, but that's a C. The white note next to that, between the 2 blue ones there, or 2 black keys, is a D. The next note's an E. The next note's an F, and it's important to note that F is always just to the left of the group of 3 black ones. So that's an F. Next white note's a G, and then it's for no reason whatsoever we start over on A, and that's going to be the key that's in between the 2nd and 3rd black note. Okay. Notice there's no black note between E and F. There's also no black note between B and C. If there's nothing else that you commit to memory out of all of the year and a half that we've been together, make sure that you know that where the C note is on a piano, and then it's C, D, E, F, G, and then you start over. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and start over. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's critical information. The other critical thing that you have to know is that if you're on C, go look at your C note, there's a black note right up there, right? And so if you take that C and you sharp it, it becomes a C sharp, and that's the black key. Likewise, if you're on the D note and you decide to go down to that black key, it's no longer a C sharp, it's a D flat. Now, we're going to take, in just a minute, I'll show you why you don't care about that as an ukulele player. But as a musician, you should know that stuff, right? All musicians end up knowing the piano fretboard layout because it's just, that's how all of the notes work out. So make sure you know the difference between your sharps and your flats. Know the names of all of the notes from C to C on the piano keyboard because it's going to come up in your life. And if you don't have that committed to memory, you want to get it that way. You don't have to, I mean, really, it's a pattern. You only have to memorize these 12 notes, C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, and then coming down from the C, you have a B, then a B flat, A flat, G, G flat, F and E. There's no sharp or flat between those two. E flat, D flat, and then the C again. So you only have to memorize 12 notes. You have to memorize 12 notes, but you really do need to know them. It's going to be super, super, super helpful to you. Let's see. Patty's back from Ouray, Mesa Verde, and Sandy. This is beautiful out there, huh? Should have stopped in next time. Whitewater Grill just across from the... Oh, yeah. No guns today. I guess, I mean, if you're going to carry guns, I guess it's your thing, right? Friend, I put new Savara strings on my concert, and I love the sound. Yeah, that's what I put on everything these days, guys. And I've put on a lot of really, really terrible strings. So they say you shouldn't meet your heroes. I'm Amy's hero, apparently. Actually, Bjorn is her hero, but Bjork, not Bjorn. Bjorn is the thing you put the baby in. Now, bar chords. Go to page 3. Go to the bottom of page 3. What do you see there? You see the C6, C sharp 6, D6, E flat 6, E6, F6, and so on. You know what that is? That is our Make a Better Bar worksheet right there. Let's play it. You've done this a million times. Instead of plunking it out like this, let's go ahead and do a little arpeggio, thumb, index, middle, ring. Let's go all the way up to C6, which comes after B6, and then we'll come back down. And notice how lovely the tablature works here. Okay, so let's do from 85 to 90, the invisible 97, and then come back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thumb, index, middle, ring. 1, middle, index, ring. 2, middle, index, ring. You're on 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 is a B6, and 12 is a C6 again. Then change your pattern. Ring, middle, index, thumb. Ring, middle, index, thumb. So now you know with this bar, you now know the names of all of those things that we play. We don't really care about the names because we just know that we need to have a bar on 6, or bar on 7, bar on 8, bar on 9. If you look at what we have to play in the tablature, it's like, we rule, right? And if you wanted to learn the names and memorize those names, you could now do that using that. Notice on the way the frets work. C sharp, D starts with first fret, then second fret, then third fret, and then we switch up to 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. On the baritone one, I got rid of that intermediate stuff. I just started first fret, second fret, third fret, fourth fret. Okay. All that's very neat and orderly, right? That's the beauty of fretted instruments. They're not built, they're designed and arranged this way on purpose. Now look at the piano score there. Look at the crazy stuff that those of you who had piano lessons, this is why you don't take piano anymore, because you really have to know what all that nonsense is, right? There's measure 1 doesn't look terrible, right? And then measure 86, you're like, oh geez, there's those hashtags. Then you get to measure 88, there's 2 flats mixed in among all that other stuff. It just makes you mental, right? And this is why piano teachers are a nervous wreck, because they really do have to think about all that. When you're doing chords on a piano, every single moment is this sort of little negotiation with you and the keys that you're supposed to press down. Whereas on our instrument, which is a really nice thing to have happen. So, with bar chords, the reason I give you that Make a Better Bar worksheet is the bar is what matters, right? Because mostly you get a lot of this. Really challenging, really challenging. And then one day, and that's the day. That's the day that you start booking your tickets to Seoul, Korea, to do your first sold-out concert. Right? I would not at all spend any time worrying about that sound. That sound will go away. It really will. Okay. Now, that idea of a bar going up and having the chords magically become what they need to be is central to everything that I do when I'm doing arranging up the neck. Okay, and the other important thing to get in your head is that, my goodness, once you have bar chords mastered, you're actually in charge of your sound. If I do a C chord open and I lift this finger up, most of the chord keeps ringing. But if I do a bar chord C, I can decide how long I want that to ring out. I can even get a little bit of a growly sound, right? Okay, you can't do that if you're just playing an open C. It's not that one's better than the other, it's just that one has features and characteristics that the other one doesn't have, and you will take advantage of that as an instrumentalist. All right, so that's what we're going to be working on. Get your bar together. Don't take that seriously. Every single time you sit down, tune your instrument up, run your Make a Better Bar worksheet. That's going to get your bar strong and good. Now let's talk about, here's what's the magic of bar chords. You know how when you first start and there's this chord book, you all go buy the chord book, right? And there's 400 chords in there, and you're like, I don't know how am I ever going to memorize these. Well, the first thing is you shouldn't have bought that book in the first place. The second thing is that there's only 10 shapes, okay? There's 3 major shapes. Those are all show up on page 1. There's 3 minor shapes. Those show up on page 2. I gave you the one diminished shape for all diminished chords at the bottom of page 2. There's only 3 7th chord shapes in all of ukulele. Now, it won't help you in jazz because jazz has weird shapes, but it will help all classical, all Western, all pop, all, what am I missing? I don't know, rock and roll. They're all built off of the chords, the major chords, the minor chords, and the 7th chords. And so the only thing that happens when you get to jazz, they start adding in a 4th or a 5th note, and that kind of throws us off a little bit. But this is a pretty powerful piece of information. Go look at the top of page 1 at the C major shape. That's 0003. That's a C, okay? But instead of playing it with your ring finger, you're going to play it with your pinky because you're going to need your bar chord and you need to get that spacing, okay? So really that's what I want you to do, C chord. If you move it up 1 and add the bar, now you're at C sharp, okay? And if you move it up 1 more to 2, that's your D chord. Where have you seen that? Remember Yankee Doodle, day 4 or 5? That's where that is. That's okay. That's an important thing to remember. Hey, a bar on 2, pinky on 5. That's a D chord. We don't do a ton of E flats. Its other name is D sharp. In ukulele, we simplify the chord names in most cases. There are a few people out there who want to prove how smart they are, and they'll know the difference between D sharp and E flat in any given situation, and you'll see some arrangements that are my jumping flea arpeggiator. Later in the book, down the way, I tried to be really careful to make sure the naming conventions were correct, not the ukulele way. But almost always in ukulele, if you're going to play a D sharp, it's going to be listed as an A flat. Okay, that's on 3. On 4, we've done this a ton. That's E. On 5, there's another F chord. That comes from Amazing Grace, right? We've done this one a lot. Okay, there's F sharp is next. And then finally, they're up at measure 8. That's 7, 7, 7, 10. We've done that a ton. There's a G chord. Okay, so that's what your chords are up the neck. There's only one shape. It's your C shape. But you get all of those chords. And you could keep going on if you have extra frets, of course. Kat says, isn't there also a D major shape that becomes E as you move up the neck? Yep. We're going to find it, okay? Actually, you can look in the next shape at measures 14 and 16 in the A major shapes, and you can, well, technically, you can do the F major. I end this up on fret 7 here, but there's a D sitting up here on 9. as well, right? And so sometimes things are easier to get to than others. Let's do the A major shape, for example. Now, when I teach you how to make an A major, when you use your index and middle, right? That's your day 2 in ukulele. But now I want you to use your middle and ring finger. Still an A chord, but this gives you this guy, okay? Now, here's what sometimes we don't talk about. There's your A chord. You can get along with A chord. A chord's fine. If I move it up 1 and add my bar, you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's that stupid B flat. All it is an A chord moved up 1. If you move it up 1 more, it becomes a B. And look at here, fret 3, it's a C. Okay. If you move it up 2 more, it's a D. Move it up 2 more, it's an E. Move it up 1 more, it's an F. I think I got them right. A, C, D, E, F. Okay, so it becomes an F up on 8, okay, and a G clear up on 10. Okay, so I ran out of space to continue on down the line. I ran out of space at fret 7, but you can follow it all the way down. Super powerful shape. I use this a lot in arrangements. You'll see B flat show up a lot. You'll see this C show up an awful lot, and so on down the neck. It's a really easy shape to do, relatively easy, and a bar here. Okay, now get the next line. You guys have done this one so many times that you will be like, oh, now I know what I'm doing. I should have. Why didn't Gary tell us this in the beginning? You got your F chord, right? We always do index and middle, and we're happy as clams. Well, now you switch out from index and middle, switch out to middle and ring. Here's your F chord. Yay! Okay. And now you're just going to add the bar as you go up. F sharp. Here's a G chord. Now, let's stop for just a second. Bar on 2, F shape in front, it's a G chord. But if you look at this, we do our G chord this way normally, right? What are you really doing here? You're really doing a partial bar with your index here. And we're just lucky that this happens to be an open G string, so it makes sense that you can make a G chord. But if you're running bar chords, you're just going to use a bar on 2, middle finger here, and then your ring finger is up here on top. That makes this into a B note, a B note, which is part of a G chord. Right? Okay, so there's your G. Go up to 4, and you have an A chord. And look at this, bar on 5, F shape in front. We've done it I don't know how many times over the last year and a half. That B flat, that's how we get it. That's how it turns an F chord into a B flat right there. Okay, measure 6, you got your, or fret 6, you got your B chord, and then the high C is on 7. Okay, those are your major chords. 3 shapes, C shape, A shape, F shape. And all of the other shapes that we do that are open are partial representations of those those bar chords. Okay, so we do D chord like this most of the time with an open thing. What you can see it plain as day, right? There's a bar there. The problem is when we put a bar on 2, messes up the chord, so we got to put our pinky up there to get that D chord. Okay, what's the other shapes we use? We use B chord, of course, that's just your A chord. C, we use this one. Okay. But if you want to use a bar chord, you use this one, or use this one. And so on. Okay, there's your major chords. Let's go on to page 2. Let's talk about the minor chords. Difference between a major chord and a minor chord. Major chords sound happy, minor chords sound sad. It's a little more sophisticated than that. But basically, if you're playing a C chord, C, E, and G, those are your 3 main notes. To turn it into a minor, all you do is take this finger, whatever note it normally falls on, and move it to the left a half a note, right? So if it's on an E, we'll put it on an E flat, and now it's a C minor, and it sounds sad, okay, or important, or weighty, or something. Okay, now let's look at our 3 minor. I kind of sort of think I finally start to get it. If you haven't seen this before, this is your first blush, right? It's okay not to get everything. We're walking. The real thing you're walking in is, here's my initial shape, and then I'm going to use a bar and push it up the neck. And it means that it's going to turn into all these chords. Okay, that's it. That's all you need to really know. Those of you guys that are a little further along, we'll talk about combining them in just one sec. Okay, I'm not going to go through all of these, but the same theory applies. If you look at A minor on measure 25, so sad, right? Switch it out to your ring, and now you can start using your bar. Okay, so go up one, B flat minor, one more, B minor, one more, C minor, C sharp minor, D minor, E flat minor. By the way, take a look at the standard notation there. 3 of the notes are flat, 1 of them's sharp. What kind of psycho came up with that? And then finally E minor. By the way, it wasn't me. There are ways around this too, by the way. Failed pianists like me. So these are your notes. You can go all the way down with that. That shape we use that a ton, as you guys know. That D minor there on 5, that's going to come up a ton. Okay. Now, speaking of D minor, look at your next one. We normally do it index, middle, and ring. Okay, but switch it out to middle, ring, and pinky. Okay, and then just start your walk up the neck. D minor, E flat minor, E minor, F minor, F sharp minor. F sharp minor is on 4. And so on. This is a lot harder one to do than the others. That's why we usually don't take this one all the way down the neck, because the frets get so small down here that a lot of times it's not helpful. F minor, starting at measure 41, same exact thing. Here's your F minor. Okay, switch it out. Middle, ring, and pinky. And then start your journey. Move these everybody up one. You only have to add your index finger on the one. I don't use a full bar. Nobody uses a full bar on this one. Put it on the 3rd string. That's your F sharp minor. Okay. I think that's kind of a scary chord. And so on up the way. G sharp minor, or G minor. A flat or G sharp. A minor is right here. Look at what a mess this A minor is. I wish there was better A minors further up the neck. This one's here. And we have used it in one of the jazz songs we're working on right now. I have it in there, but it's not that pleasant to do. So those go up. And so now you have all of your minors with 3 shapes. All of them, and multiple examples of most of them. Okay? Diminished, we've talked about this one plenty. Okay? To get it into bar shape. This is the open form. To get it in the bar form, these 2 here and these 2 here. And yes, you can use a bar. Some of you like it that way. I think you're crazy, but you can do that. I just do these 2 in the back and these 2 in the front. The same exact shape for all diminished chords. All of them have the exact same shape, and you don't necessarily have to. You'll notice on the chord charts, you can start over. So if you want to go all the way up the neck, you can. And who wouldn't? It's super fun. But they do start over. So you've got E diminished, and then F, and then F sharp. And then look at measure 52. It starts over with G down here. It's just the weirdness of the way this is arranged that it turns out there's only one diminished shape, and it just repeats after the 3rd fret. You can go on to the 4th fret if you want, or you can go back to the open position. And you're not going to use a ton of diminished, but we use diminished more than probably most instruments because it sounds so cool on ukulele, and it's in all that Tin Pan Alley music. So just know it's there. Now, very quickly, we're out of time. On the page 3, the 7th chords, A7, again, change it out for your middle, and run it up the neck. All of your chords. C7, same thing. We usually use it with index finger. Just change it out for your middle finger and add your bar. And so on. The one that's kind of a pain, it shows up in lots of Tin Pan Alley music, guys, is your E7. Middle finger, ring finger, pinky, and then start it up the neck. F7, F sharp 7, G7, G sharp or A flat, A7 on 5, that's going to come up. Okay, it's going to come up. This B7 also comes up on 7. And you got a C7 up there on 8. So that's the theory on this. Tomorrow we'll run through it briefly to talk about how any questions that you might have, and I'm sorry we're out of time, but look through it tonight, mess around with them, and then remember, write down any questions you might have so that you remember them, and we can talk about them tomorrow. The main idea with a multiple bar chords is sometimes this makes sense. Sometimes that makes sense, but sometimes you have a singer and they don't know what key they sing in, and it's not that key, that's all they know. Well, then you can use bar chords and adjust it for them. Here's the same exact song with bar chords. A chord, D chord, E7. There's your A, D, and E7. And then if they can't sing in that key, you're like, do you want higher or lower? They say, I gotta have it lower. So then you just drop it back one. I think I did the right chords, but that's the idea. Is once you get your bar chords in place, you can move it up and down to fit the singer's voice, and all of a sudden you become a very valuable person because you can accompany other people, and it doesn't matter what key they can sing in. So we'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow. Tonight, guys, download MuseScore from the MuseScore.com website and see if you can at least get it in your computer, opened up and running. That would be a huge help for you, because tomorrow we'll talk about that a little bit more. I have never done the MuseScore workshops, certainly not online. I've taught a few people to use it, but I'm not an expert at it, so it'll be a bit of a mess tomorrow. But those of you, a lot of you guys want to do a song that you know I'm never going to get around to doing, and I want you to have the skill set, have the tools available to do that. And we'll probably work on it a couple of days to get the MuseScore stuff. So Christine's like, wow, that went fast. There's a lot of stuff on this piece of paper, 3 pages, right? I don't give you exercises very often because usually it feels like this. You're like, oh my God, he just threw the book at us. So let me see where I left off. Could you say that again about how you get a minor chord from the major? Take note and how you get a minor chord from the major chord would be C, E, and G, for example. A minor chord is C, E flat, and G. I wouldn't overthink that, because on our instrument we don't really need to know that information. We just use the chord shapes. So don't overthink it, Kat. There is definitely mathematics behind all of this, and I know you're a mathematical person. And we can talk about it a little bit more in depth tomorrow. How about that? Michelle, good to see you. Linda, when I learned that they were all in the same sequence, it became easier. Yeah, right. So an this F chord becomes all of those other chords just by using your bar. Very exciting kind of thing. Jan, interesting. You ditto. Okay. Went fast. Powerful information. Is MuseScore free? Yes, MuseScore is totally free. No, do not pay anything. Just download the software. You're not signing up for the website. Don't do any of that. Just download the software. Don't sign up for the website. See you tomorrow. I'll send out an email with more directions. Yeah, and Kat, because I know you are scientifically minded and mathematically minded, we may have to get there a lot. You know that it's all math, right? Good old Pythagoras figured all. Well, Pythagoras was the guy who wrote it down. It was already figured out by the time he got a hold of it. But yeah, it's all just math, and so it all works. Elizabeth, this was old hat to you. Cindy, there is an ad at the top of the page for something that costs money. I just downloaded it for free. Okay, and thanks, Janice. All right, guys, I got to run off to Harmonica. They're going to be mad at me for being late. And I will see all y'all tomorrow. Don't sign up or pay for anything on MuseScore. Just download the software, get the thing into your computer. That whatever you guys are looking at with an ad, don't do the ad thing. It's free. It is totally free. I promise. Okay. All right. Going to pull the plug. And as you look over this tonight, think of any questions you have, and then let me know what those are tomorrow. Peace.